You ever been so tired that your bones ache? Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from spying at people who don't see as a human. Brooke and Myers knew that tired, 25-year-old probably got into waitressing the same way most people do, temporarily. Just until I figured things out. She told herself maybe she was saving for school, maybe helping family, maybe just trying to keep her head above water in a city where rent eats your paycheck before you even cash it. Dallas, Texas. A Tuesday night probably. The restaurant's fluorescent light buzzing overhead like angry wasps, her feet throbbing in non-slip shoes that stopped being comfortable 6 months ago. And then 3 coins, foreign, worthless, less than a dime, and a note, travel more, you might learn something. This is a story about a bad tip. This is a story about the exact moment a human being's dignity drew a line in the sand and said, not today. Let's talk about what really happened that night. Here's what the news story tells us. Brooklyn did that shift. She handled the entire table alone, multiple drink refills, which means she was crossing that dining room over and over, tray in hand, dodging all the tables, all the servers, probably a kid running around unsupervised. She fetched special sauces, code for we're going to make you walk to the kitchen for ranch we're not even going to use. She cleaned up a spilled drink on her hands and knees, probably wiping up someone else's mess while they scrolled their phone. And she split the check 3 separate ways, not once, not twice, 3 times because they changed their mind. Let me paint you a picture of what that actually means. Splitting a check isn't pressing a button. It's math. It's who had the chicken, and I didn't order that appetizer, and can you make sure the nachos are on his bill? It's navigating fragile egos and group dynamics while the computer system freezes. It's ringing everything up, then voiding it, then re-ringing it because someone remembered they want to pay for their girlfriend's salad but not her drink. 3 times. Brooklyn did this 3 times. And here's the thing about service work that people who've never done it don't understand. You become a ghost in your own body. You learn to smile with your mouth while your eyes are screaming. You develop this practice choreography. Anticipate needs, stay invisible until needed, reappear with perfect timing, vanish again. You're not Brooklyn, you're Miss or a sweetheart or hey you. You're the human vending machine. Insert order, receive food, leave tip, except when they don't. And most of the time, you swallow it. You swallowed so much by now that your throat is raw from it. The guy who snapped his fingers at you, the woman who sent back her steak 4 times, the teenagers who left you $1 on a $60 bill, the couple who prayed over their meal and left your fake $20 bill. That was actually a religious tract. You swallow it all because rent is due and your car needs an oil change and your mom needs help with her medication. But then someone hands you 10 cents and tells you that you should have worked harder. Let's talk about what happened outside. Brooklyn walked out there holding those coins. I imagine her hands were shaking, not from anger yet, from something deeper, confusion maybe. This belief, that cognitive dissonance, when you can't quite process what's happening. What is this supposed to mean? It's a genuine question. She's giving them a chance. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe they didn't realize. Maybe there's some explanation that makes this okay. And yet, the man laughs. He laughs. It means you should have worked harder. There it is. The moment. The split second where Brooklyn's brain made a calculation faster than thought. This isn't about money. This is about power. They didn't stiff her because they were broke. They could afford to go out to eat, order ribs, get them boxed to go. They stiff her because they could, because humiliating someone they perceived as beneath them was entertainment. That travel more. You might learn something. The cruelty isn't even subtle. It's baroque, ornate. They didn't just refuse to tip. They created a little performance piece about her provincialism, her lack of sophistication, her unworthiness. They imported coins specifically to make a point. This took planning. And in that moment, something in Brooklyn snapped. Not broke, snapped. Like a rubber band pulled too tight, like a branch in an ice storm. She reached into there to go back, pulled out those ribs, the ribs she'd probably carried to their table, served them with a smile, boxed up carefully, and threw them across the patio. The splatter must have been magnificent. Sell his respect. You didn't pay for that either. I want you to really hear that line. The poetry in it, the precision. Brooklyn didn't scream, she didn't curse. She just stated the fact. You can't afford to treat people like dirt and expect them to keep serving you. Here's where the story gets dark. Brooklyn was arrested, charged with disorderly conduct. Her mugshot probably circulate online. Her name is now permanently associated with this incident. Future employers will Google her and find this story. The customers, they got to call the police. They got to play the victim. She threw my dinner, as if property damage to a $12 box of ribs is something more serious than wage theft and public humiliation. The system protected them. Of course it did. And I keep thinking about what Brooklyn told the officers. If they can disrespect me, they can eat off the ground. There's a medieval quality to that statement, isn't there? Kind of biblical justice. You want to treat me like dirt, then literally eat dirt. But here's what really gets me. Brooklyn lost. She lost her job, probably. Lost the money to legal fees. Lost the time. Lost the peace of mind. And for what? For 3 seconds of satisfaction, for the brief, beautiful moment of watching those ribs explode across the pavement. Was it worth it? I think Brooklyn would say yes. Because here's what people who've never been ground down by service work don't understand. Sometimes your dignity is the only thing you own. Sometimes the cost of keeping it is worth playing. Brooklyn wasn't stupid. She knew what would happen when she threw those ribs. She knew the cops would come. She knew she'd lose. But in that moment, she decided that being right mattered more than being safe. And there's something both inspiring and horrifying about the calculus. So why did Brooklyn Myers throw a box of ribs across a Dallas patio? Not because of 10 cents, not because of the disrespect, though that was the trigger. Brooklyn did it because she's living in a system that tells service workers they should be grateful for whatever crumbs they receive. That tells them to smile through abuse, that compensates them below minimum wage and expects strangers' generosity to make up the difference, that treats them as less than human and then acts shocked when they demand to be seen. She did it because she's probably been swallowing indignities for years, and the human body can only hold so much poison before it starts leaking out. She did it because sometimes you get tired of being civilized to people who are cruel. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying throwing food at customers is the answer. It's not a sustainable protest strategy. It doesn't change systems. It just gets you arrested. But I'm saying I understand it. I understand that moment when you realize the social contract is one-sided. When you realize you've been playing by rules that only apply to you. When you realize that being professional just means absorbing infinite disrespect with a smile. Brooklyn Myers made a choice. It was probably the wrong choice by every practical measure. But it was her choice. For once, she wasn't a ghost. She wasn't a vending machine. She was a human being saying, not me, not today, not anymore. Those ribs are still on that pavement somewhere, symbolically. A memorial to every service worker who ever wanted to throw something, but didn't. Every person who bit their tongue and pocketed the insult along with the insufficient tip. Brooklyn did it for all of them. And yeah, she got arrested. Yeah, she probably regrets it on some level. But somewhere in some deep part of her soul, I bet Brooklyn Myers sleeps a little better knowing that at least once she didn't swallow it. At least once she threw it right back. If you ever worked a service, drop a comment and hey, tip your servers. Not with foreign coins and condensation, with actual money and basic human respect. It's not that complicated.